Hello and welcome to A Place to Call Home. It's our weekly series where we talk about everything. Good show today. The acronym that you may see on the television is MOMS, and it stands for Mothers of Murdered Sons. My guest today is Dr. Katrina August, and she's a mother of a murdered son as well as myself. And then we have Trayford Pellerin's mother, that's timely. We have the Charles family that we are praying for in Baldwin, Louisiana. That is certainly timely. And welcome to the show, my friend.
Hi.
It is good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
And this is a topic that, I know that I don't like people telling me I know what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they're trying to be nice, but you never know what I'm going through until you've walked in my shoes. I want you to tell us what you're a doctor of, and I want to know a little bit about your story.
Well, first, my name is Dr. Katrina August. I am a secular counselor as well as a doctorate in Christian counseling. So I am a board certified belief therapist. My son in January there was a home invasion, and my son was Shenard Simmons in a wheelchair bound. He was born with arthrogryposis. And it was supposedly a home invasion where they went inside the home and shot him in the back of the head. I'm not going to talk a lot about that because the investigation is going on.
Still going on.
Still going on.
In January.
Yes. And
I believe that happened in Dusson?
Yes, Dusson.
In a wheelchair.
He was in a wheelchair. And like you said, a lot of people are, I know what you're going through, and they mean well. They mean well, Ms.
I know
Portia.
they do.
They mean well, but it doesn't do anything.
Not until you've walked in my shoes.
And for me, the thing is, I picture every day my son being thrown out of his wheelchair with a gun to his head. I picture him. What was he saying? What was he thinking? What was he, what was going on? I just picture that, and I wasn't there. And I think that's the hardest thing for a mom is you have to live with wondering what was going on at the time with your child. You have to live with if I would have been there, if I would have visited that day, if I would have gone earlier instead of later, I probably would have catched them running out the house. I deal with that every day. I deal with it
And for
every day.
my son, he was an engineer, and he was getting off from work and getting out of his car, and they shot him in the back. And I often think, well, what was he doing? And the thing about it is, I still don't know who killed him.
And that's
After all these years, I still don't know. Every Monday morning, I call the detectives. This happened in Dallas, Texas. And every Monday morning, until the day I die, I call the detectives and ask the question, do you know who killed my son? Do you know who killed my son? And no, ma'am, we don't know.
For me, it's actually the same thing because right now there's two young boys, young men that's incarcerated, but they were 6. There were like 5 or 6 guys plotting it already. And my thing is, forgiveness is for everyone, but you know what, Miss Portia, to be honest with you, I love everybody. And it's easy for people to say forgive. I forgive to a certain extent. I don't know if I 100% forgiven. I don't know that. I don't know, this is when you come to find out you really don't know what forgiveness is. I can honestly say now I don't really know what forgiveness is. I preached it in the churches. I've spoken to a lot of people saying it's better to forgive. But until something like this happens, this is between you and God. This is between you and a God that knows more than your mind could ever imagine. Because at this point, no one could tell me anything to make me believe you, like you say, believe you understand this. It's like my son was in a wheelchair, and that's the thing I deal with every day. My son was in a wheelchair.
Was it a robbery?
They said it was a harm invasion, a robbery, and that's what I'm gonna say right now. There's more to the story. It was said that this thing was plotted, and we have a lot of leads. One thing I can say about the detectives on my son's case, I think they were more upset because he was in a wheelchair. Like, this was senseless. You didn't have to go to the depth of putting a gun behind his head. You didn't have to do that. But I was telling one of my girlfriends the other day, and I was honest. I said, Kim, I don't know if I'm angry. I don't know if I'm in denial. I don't know what it is. When it first happened, I had one of his aunts ask me, did you go to the doctor for medication? Because I was that calm. I was really calm. Like, I was in so much of a disbelief, because when someone get murders in the family, you can't see them. Like, they won't let you see them or go around them. It's not like they're in the hospital, they died, and you get a chance to say your goodbyes, you get a chance to see the body. With me, it had been maybe a week. So honestly, Miss Portia, I'm at home, and I'm just walking around up and down, like, just not believing it. And nobody knew this, but inside, I'm thinking, he's in protective custody because they're waiting for the killers. I thought this for a whole week. He's in protective custody. He's not dead. He's not really dead, because I didn't see him.
Well, in my case, I did. This happened in Dallas, but I brought him home. And I was just lucky enough to say my goodbyes and to see his body. And you know what I want to say, Katrina? It's many moms like us, many moms that may be watching this show that are just like us.
Mm-hmm.
And I am glad that this organization has started. Tell me a little bit about where it came from. Where did this idea?
You know what? I was so angry. At one point, I think I went through, and I teach this. I'm like I said, I'm a board certified licensed belief therapist. I'm a secular counselor. I'm a mental health clinician. So I deal with Christians. I deal with the public. So I teach the grief process. I teach overcoming grief. I teach all these things. But when it came to me, I could not identify with it at all, because nothing is wrong with me. I teach this stuff. I have it together. I can do these things to myself.
And I know some people might be saying, you crazy. You kind of cuckoo yourself.
So this is what happened. For Mother's Day, my son, every Mother's Day, not the Mother's Day, the day before Mother's Day, my son always called me, because he had a lady friend, so they would spend Mother's Day together. Mom, what you want? Every Mother's Day Eve. And it was religious for us, and it's like, not really nothing, but he would come through anyway. Well, this Mother's Day Eve, I knew it was 12 o'clock. It's like, he's not gonna call. He's not gonna call, and I'm like, how many mothers lost their sons to murder? And I think at that time another murder had came about. Mm-hmm. I think, and that's what I started thinking in my head. And it just so happened I opened the door. I got up that morning, and something just made me go to my front door, and I opened the door, and there was a package on the ground, and it had a picture of me and him, and it said, Happy Mother's Day, Mom. And I didn't know who put it who put it there, but it was on it was on Mother's Day Eve. So that ritual was still there, and so I started thinking, how many mothers didn't get that? And I went to sleep. I was grateful for the little girl, and I forget her name. She's one of my daughter's friends. We found out that she did it. But I woke up the next morning thinking the same thing. How many mothers lost their sons? And that's when the acronyms came to me. How many moms? And it's actually Moms of Murdered Sons of Louisiana, because when I started to do the paperwork, we found out they had some things like it, so we wanted to put it for Louisiana. And when it came to me, and it was like I had this deep urge to post it.
Do you have any numbers for the state of Louisiana?
I don't have any statistics. I don't have any statistics. I was too afraid to actually count the ones from Louisiana because it's so much. It is that many. And after Trayford, that's when it was strong for me, like moms of murdered
And
sons.
I want to mention Miss Michelle. I told her I would. She was supposed to be a guest with us today. Miss Michelle Pellerin, and she's Trayford's mom.
Right.
And that was just so sad.
And this is the thing with that. You had I felt so, when I watched everything, I felt so bad. Because here, and I'm just going to be, can I just be honest? Here you have everyone looking for fame. You have everyone looking for spotlight. You have the big lawyers and the big timers, and you have them coming, and you even have preachers and pastors, and you have them trying to, ride on her loss.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing of it is, I'm looking at a mom, when all these lights are over, when all the cameras shut down, when everything is over, I'm looking at a mom and a daughter that's faced to stand alone with this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because people back away, in which they have to. But I'm looking at what's going to happen to her when all this attention leaves.
Yes.
What's going to happen? And that's when Moms of Murdered Sons really came to fruition.
And, I have, my son's birthday was 2 weeks ago. And those are days that, that are just hard for me. And I went to the grave site and I laid there all day long. And I talked to him and I told him, Mama will never stop. Mama will never stop trying to find out or trying to solve this thing one of these days. And like I said, I always tell people, though, in the community, we have got to stop asking that police stop killing us and all of that. We got to stop killing ourselves.
Miss Portia, I had someone call me. At this point, I was, they called me to go and speak on all the things that happened. When the news reached out, I didn't even want to do that. I didn't even want to go in the news. I didn't want to do a one of these, what you call it when they balloon releases. I just didn't want to do any of that because this was not this. When you do that, it's not about the person. It's about the people. And at this point, I wasn't feeling it. We're going to have that day. But at this point, I wasn't feeling it. I'm speaking for me. And I didn't feel like a gathering for people to have a good time on his time. So I watched everything that was going on. And they wanted me to speak on this, on police brutality. And I'm looking like, y'all don't even see it. They're gonna keep doing us because we're doing us.
We're doing us.
We're doing us. And it's like I'm more concerned of a melanin killing. I'm more concerned because my son didn't get shot by the cops. I probably would have, I'm gonna be honest. I probably would have felt better had it been another rape. I probably would have felt better having it be another race police or whatever. I hate to say it like that, but his own people. They didn't stop to realize that they were killing their own brother, their own. They were killing their own. And to put a gun to the back of his head and just senselessly not think about what you're doing and pull the trigger.
And he knew who.
And he knew who. I feel that's the only way. Look, the only reason you killed my son is because you knew him and he recognized who you were. Matter of fact, I believe they all recognized who you were. I believe the killers are not in jail. I believe they played a part, but the one who pulled the trigger, I in my heart as a parent, don't believe we have him yet. And I'm not going to stop until, I'm like you, I'm not going to stop until the person is behind bars. I'm not going to stop.
If you are just tuning in, we are talking to Dr. Katrina August. Our topic today is Mothers of Murdered Sons. The acronym is MOMS. Can they find you on Facebook? Can they find you on
I didn't
social media?
Yes, it's under Katrina August. I didn't do a Facebook for moms yet, but we will be putting all of that up. And another thing I want to do with moms, we're trying to provide mothers with the things that we know we needed at the time. At this point, we didn't need someone to just come and say it's okay. We needed somebody to really walk and do things.
Right.
We needed someone to, even the little simple things, Miss Portia, I mean, once you're like that and you're in that bed and you can't get up, you can't even go pay your own bills, though you have the money, but you just don't have the strength to get up and go. You don't have the strength to get up and cook. You don't have that strength. And it's like, that's what we need. We need groups to come together and say, look, we don't expect you to be okay. I wish people didn't expect me to be okay, but because of God, because of my beliefs, because God is so much bigger, they expected me to be okay, and I'm not okay. I was never okay. I'm still not okay. It's not okay. This has just been, it's not even a year yet, and it's not okay. It's not okay for no one to take anyone's child. It's not okay to put a gun to any person. People don't
Senseless.
have the right. People don't have the right to take life because they didn't create that life. They don't have that right.
Look into that camera and speak to a mother who might be listening to us, who is just like us.
I sat many nights and I cried, and I sat many nights and I held this picture, and I hold this picture to myself. I sleep with his picture. I sleep with his videos, and we are not okay. We are not okay. We're not expected to be okay. And people who expect us to be okay, who get tired of us, be crying, who gets tired of us talking about our children, it is not okay. And we need someone somewhere where we can go and we could vent. We need somewhere we can go where people would understand how we feel, because the grief process is real. The grief process has five. It's 5.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, it's
How long? How long could it?
The grief process could take forever.
Forever.
There is 5 processes that you might go through, and just because they have, like, the grief process have denial, anger, bargaining, and then you go with depression and acceptance. You might not even start at denial. You may start at anger. So the grief process, just because it has an order, it has an order about itself, it doesn't mean that you're going to be in that order.
Everybody's not going to be the same.
Miss Portia, everybody is different. I might be in denial today, and then I might start bargaining next week.
No, I think I was in anger, and look, I think I'm still in anger.
Mm-hmm. And anger doesn't mean that you're throwing things all around. You're busting up walls and you're hitting on people and you're cussing people out. That's not anger. Anger is like an anger within. It's such a deeper anger within. Maybe let's just say an anger within yourself.
And then I have to wonder. I ask myself all the time, what was he doing, and who could be that angry at him to just pull that trigger and take a life? What was he doing? What was he into?
Guess what? It doesn't matter. And that's what I want to, that's another thing I want to touch on. I don't care what your child has done. I don't care what kind of life he's lived. I don't care. Miss Portia was engineer. Mine was in a wheelchair. And I raised him right. We raised him right. After a child, the Bible say after he's on his own. He, raise up a child and he'll come back to that word. And I have to believe that my son came back to that word when he saw his life in danger. Matter of fact, I want to mention 3 months before he was killed, he just had this urge where he kept coming back and forth to church. And then the thing that gives me a little peace is that when it was altar call, he went up on his own and he gave his life to Christ 3 months before. So it doesn't matter where your child is. And that's the thing with me. People might look at, and I'm speaking to the mothers, people might look at your son and say they didn't live a right life. But nobody knows when a child called on Jesus. Nobody knows, because the Bible said, whosoever shall call upon his name, they shall be saved. Now, just like I've given, if God says, give me your life, and this is thing, if God told my son, Shanard, give me your life, and my child said, okay, that doesn't mean that the process was complete. But God is not going to penalize you if you're walking to give him something and somebody just interrupt your life. So I just don't want to believe that. I think that we have put a religion spot on a relationship with God. We have done so much religious things. We have been so processed by religion that we forget about the relationship a person might have other than.
And I think about Trayford, and Trayford had a knife in his hand. And I think about the mental health aspect that nobody knew. Maybe, who's to say?
Who's to say he wasn't nervous and was waiting until he got in the front?
I don't know.
At this point, Miss Portia, I don't care if he. I don't. That's hard to touch. But at this point, nobody deserves to be gunned down that many times.
10 times?
That's me. That's
10,
my
11 times?
Yes. At this point.
Oh my God.
At this point, nobody deserves. I know it's fresh and Miss Michelle is going through, but I just want to believe that everything is going to come out and everything is going to be taken care of and she's going to get justice. I just want to
And for this that. Charles family recently in Baldwin, Louisiana, they are telling me that young man, and I mean a young man. A child. They are telling me that he looked like Emmett Till. I can't.
And that's the same thing happened to Emmett Till.
I cannot believe that he came out looking like that.
Mm-hmm. A lot of things that I started to question. I've been in church for a very long time. And I started to question a lot of things that we do going to church. I started, and until this happened, it's like you in it by yourself. Like you have to dig deep. And as I was reading in Isaiah 45, this is what gives me strength. This is what gives me strength. The Bible says that God formed peace and he created evil. He formed it. He formed peace and created evil. And I have to believe that everything is in his hand because he is God. And that's the thing that's
all
given
by
me.
himself.
He's God all by himself and he knows all things. And a lot of times we get to thinking we know him. We get to thinking we know him. And when we get to that point, we have lost because he is so much more than we could ever think. So I have to believe that when my son went, I have to believe he wasn't in pain. I caught myself, Miss Portia, thinking about Googling, if you get shot in the head, do you feel it? How many seconds do a bullet get before point A and point B? I caught myself just going kind of, and this was like being alone. Like I was alone doing this. So I'm telling the parents right now, You're not alone. There are mothers like you. There's me. There's Miss Portia. I'm sure you can call her. You can call me. There's mothers out there that I'm telling you right now, it is okay to not be okay. It is okay to not be okay.
Tell people how they can reach you before we have to go.
You can reach me at area code 337-298-2027, or my Facebook page is Katrina August, and you're going to see Dr. August on that site because there's a couple of Katrina Augusts. You can reach me and you can reach Miss Portia. We will be having a place to meet, and the meeting will be on Tuesdays at 6:30, bi-weekly, and we will meet in one of the designated centers that we are that is allocated for that time.
Thank you so much for being my guest. Real important topic, moms of murdered sons. I'm Portia Evans for A Place to Call Home. We'll be back again next week with something else. In the meantime, you be blessed, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.